Hello, my dear students. So, today I will be reading chapter number 2, The Night the Roof Blew Off. Let's begin with the story. Looking back at the experience, I suppose it was the sort of thing that should have happened in a James Thurber story, like the dam that burst or the ghost who got in. But I wasn't thinking of Thurber at that time, although a few of his books were among the many I was trying to save from the icy rain and sleet pouring into my bedroom and study. So, what is the scene here? It means that the rain water is coming inside the writer's room, and when he writes the story about it, that at the time when it happened, he imagines that the situation at that time was like a story, and most probably the story written by James Thurber, right? But he said that it was actually not a story, it was really happening, that the icy water and sleet. What is sleet? Sleet is rain mixed with ice, was pouring into my bedroom and my study room. We are used to sudden storms up here at 7,000 feet in the Himalayan foothills, and the old building in which I live has for over 100 years received the brunt of the wind and the rain as they sweep across the hills from the east. So, the plot where the story is set up is 7,000 feet up in the Himalayan foothills, and here changing of the weather is very common. So, the storms, snowfall, rainfall is very common. So, any time they can receive the brunts of strong winds. We had lived in the building for over 10 years without any untoward happening. It had even taken the shock of an earthquake without sustaining any major damage. It is difficult to tell the new cracks from the old. So, yes, the building was 100 years old building, but this family, the writer and the other people, they were living in this building for over 10 years, and this building had sustained a major earthquake without any damage. There were only little cracks, and now it was difficult to distinguish old cracks from the new cracks. It's a three-story building, and I live on the top floor with my adopted family, three children and their parents. So the writer is living with a family of parents with three children. The roof consists of corrugated tin sheets, the ceiling of the wooden boards. So the roof of the building is the tin sheet. The tin sheet corrugated means a zigzag form, and the ceiling is of wooden boards. That's the traditional hill station roof. Ours had held fast in many a storm, but the wind that night was stronger than we had ever known it. It was cyclonic in its intensity, and it came rushing at us with a high pitched airy wail. So that night, the thunderstorm which was coming was not a common one, it was like a cyclone, and it was coming to them with a very strange sound. Airy is strange. The old roof groaned and protested at the unrelieved pressure. It took this battering for several hours while the rain lashed against the window and the lights kept coming and so the situation was that the old roof was, yes, it was 100 years old. It was groaning means crying with pain, but it was still resisting the thunderstorm, and the rain was lashing, the rain was pouring over the windows of the building, and the light was coming and going. There was no question of sleeping, but we remained in bed for warmth and comfort. The fire had long since gone out, the chimney stack having collapsed, bringing down a shower of sooty rain water. So, the fire which they were using to keep themselves warm was gone out, and the chimney stack, the pipe of the chimney, you can say, and the rain water was coming from that also, and there was all over black sooty water. Soot is the carbon powder which which is generated after we burn the coal. So everywhere there was black water. After about 4 hours of buffeting, the roof could take it no more. Means after about 4 hours of resisting the thunderstorm, the roof blew off. My bedroom faces east, so my portion of the roof was the first to go. The wind got under it and kept pushing until, with a ripping, groaning sound, the metal sheets shifted from their moorings, some of them dropping with claps like thunder onto the road below. What are moorings? The nuts and bolts. Slowly and gradually, the nuts and bolts of the tin roof, they got loosened, right? And the roof blew off, and it dropped on the road below. So that's it, I thought. Nothing worse can happen. As long as the ceiling stays on, I'm not getting out of my bed. We will pick up the roof in the morning. So roof was gone, but the wooden ceiling was still there, and the writer thought that I'm not getting up. The ceiling we will pick, the roof, the tin roof we will pick up in the morning from the road, but as long as this wooden ceiling on the top, I will not leave my room. Icy water cascading down on my face made me change my mind in a hurry. Leaping from my bed, I found that much of the ceiling had gone too. So, when he just, as you can see in this picture on this page, the writer is looking up. The ceiling, the roof had gone, and after that, some parts of ceiling had also gone with the thunderstorm, with the wind, and icy water, very cold water, was falling down on the writer's face. Water was pouring onto my open typewriter, the typewriter that had been my trusted companion for close to 30 years, and onto the bedside radio, bed covers, and clothes cupboard. The only object that wasn't receiving any rain was the potted philodendron, which could have done with a little watering. So, everywhere in the room, water was falling on the typewriter, on the radio, on the bed covers, on the cloth cupboard. But there was a potted plant. There was a plant philodendron in the pot. It could receive water without any damage, and it was the only thing which was not receiving water. Picking up my precious typewriter and abandoning the rest means I picked up my typewriter and I left the rest of the things. I stumbled into the front sitting room come library, only to find that a similar situation had developed there. I stumbled means with very, you say, ladkhadate hue kadam, right? So in a stumbling manner, he went into the front room and he found a similar situation there. Water was pouring through the wooden slats, raining down on the bookshelves. So there also the water was pouring down. By now, I had been joined by the children who had come to rescue me. So the children came finding me and they came to save me, to rescue me. Their section of the roof hadn't gone as yet. Their parents were struggling to close a window which had burst open, letting in lashings of wind and rain. So both the parents were trying to close one window, and the three children came to the writer to see what is the situation with him. And their side of, you can say, the room of the children, or their portion of the house, it was still little bit fine. Save the books, shouted Dolly. So Dolly is a girl, okay? Out of the three children, one is girl and her name is Dolly, the youngest, and she is the youngest of the three children. And that became our rallying cry for the next hour or two, like people shout in the rallies. So same way now for the next 2 hours, they all were shouting, save the books, save the books. I have open shelves vulnerable to borrowers as well as the floods. Vulnerable means easily available. So my books are very open to everybody. Anybody can borrow them, or they were now very easily available to the pouring water. Dolly and her brothers picked up armfuls of books and carried them into their room. But the floor was now awash all over the apartment. The books had to be piled on the beds. So by now, all the three children, they were picking up books in their arms, but the floor was completely filled with water, and now they were keeping the books on the bed. Dolly was helping me gather up some of my manuscripts when a large field rat leapt onto the desk in front of her. Dolly squealed and ran for the door. So, when Dolly was helping me in picking up some of the handwritten papers, manuscripts are the handwritten papers, she saw a field rat who jumped in front of her. Dolly also squealed. She shouted and she ran for the door.